Kirby Air Riders is finally released, and is it everything I hoped it'd be? Of course! Honestly, there really wasn't anything to hide. After 2 hours of directs, it is no surprise that the game contains everything they said it would, plus a little bit extra, which is more than enough to create a compelling experience. Which is why I want to talk about how this game compares to Mario Kart World, the Switch 2's biggest disappointment, contrasted against its most unsurprising success. Despite being for a much smaller franchise, Kirby Air Riders has far more love and care, not only for the game itself, but for the players. And I hope to make that clear by comparing it to a game which is defined by mismanagement and a lack of vision. A game with no clear direction that results in a subpar product that did not have to be bad. Anyway, that's all the intro you're gonna get because there's a lot to cover, and it's time to see how Kirby Air Ride succeeds in every way that Mario Kart World failed. And I'm not gonna bury the lead here. Let's immediately talk about the biggest problem with Mario Kart World, which is the online mode, what you're going to be playing the majority of the time. What should be the game's legacy and last long into the future is completely non-functional compared to Kirby Air Riders, which is quick, convenient, and customizable to an insane degree. So before we talk about the failure, let's take a look at what a functional multiplayer system looks like. Kirby Air Riders has 3 main multiplayer modes, all of which are completely distinct. You have Air Ride, the standard race. There's Top Ride, a top-down racing mode that's extremely chaotic and short, with a race lasting a couple minutes, getting hit by an item probably every 10 seconds. And then there's City Trial, the main selling point of the game, a sort of battle royale where you collect power-ups, find new rides, compete in challenges, fight bosses, all of which that lead into a mini game that decides the victor. It's extremely unique, and because of this, some people, they may not like every mode. Maybe they only like one, or they really hate one. Thanks to the game being made by sane individuals, they took this into account. And if you want to play online, you just pick the mode you like, you click play, and within 10 to 30 seconds, you're in the game that you enjoy, playing with random people across the world. There's even a ranked mode if you're into that. Want to watch the numbers go up? And that's only for a quick match. If you want the customization, you can create a lobby that anyone can join, maybe set a password if you only want friends. Then within that lobby, you can create queues for any game you want. 4-player Top Ride, go for that. 16 players in City Trial, 8 people in Air Ride, and they can all go at the same time. And the customization is incredible. You can race on one track for 70 laps for no reason other than that you can. Or you can do a 1v1 in City Trial, the game mode that's supposed to have 16 people going crazy, but maybe you just want to beat that one guy who keeps beating you. Maybe you like everything about City Trial, but you hate some of the mini games. You could just turn off only the mini games you don't like. Just look at me flicking through the options because it'll be important later. The point is, you get to play how you would like to play. Now, nothing I'm talking about even seems that revolutionary, but the successes always seem more impressive once you look at the failure. How Mario Kart World's online fails so bad is simply that you cannot choose. The main way to play the game, to play every Mario Kart game that has ever come out, is to race around a track 3 times, winner takes all. Believe it or not, you cannot just choose to do this. You have to luck into it in the online mode. You see, Mario Kart World's big selling point is the open world, where every main track is connected by intermission tracks. For the 32 main, well-designed to a point, 3-lap tracks, there are 200 intermission tracks that look like this. Overly wide, boring, nearly straight line tracks, sometimes actually a straight line, with no skill expression, no meaningful gameplay, where before an update, it was slower to do tricks and grind rails than to just ride on the ground in a straight line, is the majority of the game. And this wouldn't be that big of a deal because you could always just choose to not play them, except of course you can't. You can't choose. If you want to just race online with other random people, first you have to queue what feels like forever, only to get into a not full game, only to give a choice of 3 random tracks, and with 32 real courses and 200 intermissions, what do you think you're most likely to see? So big surprise, the majority of the time is spent driving in a straight line, all because they refuse to just give the player a choice. But okay, let's ignore playing with randoms. Let's say you have 12 to 24 friends ready to go at any time. Well, then at least you can pick the track you want to play on, but that's pretty much it. There are barely any options at all. You can't even pick the music. Kirby Air Riders lets you adjust the likelihood of a song appearing. Not only can you pick the song you want to play, you can say, I want this track half the time, this track 40% of the time, this track 10% of the time. The level of customization is insane. And then Mario Kart, it's nothing. I can say I want mushrooms only, but I can't have a game where every item's available except bullet bills. Maybe I don't like that item. Or maybe I want a game with only bullet bills because I really like that item. Nope, that'd be too hard for an $80 game. Might as well shove that in there. That Kirby Air Riders is a whole $10 cheaper. Could buy a McChicken. That's pretty cool. I feel like I've well established that Kirby Air Riders far exceeds Mario Kart World in the multiplayer, but what about the single player? Well, you have all the same options you did for the multiplayer, except now against CPUs, but that's only so interesting for so long. Beating a computer will never be the same as another person, but you can do things in single player that'd be completely unfair in a multiplayer environment, like giving the player or the computer extreme advantages or disadvantages. That's where the 4th final mode comes into play, Road Trip. This is essentially the classic mode from Super Smash Bros. With some extra Kirby Air Ride flair. You complete short challenges that incorporate all the other modes of the game, slowly improving your ride along the way, getting new rides, acquiring coins to spend on power-ups or items. You're given the option to take on more difficult challenges for better rewards, all leading up to a big boss before the next stage. Yes, this racing game has actual boss battles. And because this is single player, it doesn't have to be fair. We can have an air ride where your opponent gets intermittent speed boosts, and so you have to play much better than them to succeed. Or a destruction derby where it's 1v7 and one of your opponents is giant. It's real variety that all culminates into an actual final boss, all of which is also connected by a story. It's not huge. We're not talking about Kingdom Hearts here, and it's not Subspace Emissary either, but it's a little over 10 cutscenes that connects everything together and gives you motivation to keep pushing forward. And Mario Kart World has racing in a circle against computers. That's it. Nothing special about the computers. No additional challenges. Just get first place. Doesn't that seem real lame now? Like there's no point in even playing it over the multiplayer. That is if the multiplayer actually functioned. But of course, that's what the big open world is for. That you have no reason to ever go into, ever. No story, no overarching progression, just a giant empty open world with some mini challenges spread throughout that you get basically nothing for doing. You get stickers. And before you get too excited, it's not like these stickers you can put wherever you want on your cart. That would be too cool. Add some player expression. No, it is in a one singular spot that's not even on every cart, and you can pick one sticker to put there. So there's no reason to ever get more than one, and you get some for turning the game on. And that leads to the next big failure of Mario Kart World is the lack of customization. Again, let's look at a good customization system first. And all I have to do to show that off is explain one feature. By playing the game, you earn an in-game currency that you can use at a shop to buy cosmetics. But what you can also do is design a ride and then sell that design for the in-game currency. And just look at what people have made. You can make basically whatever you want. I bought Kyogre as an air ride, and then the characters are also customizable. They have recolors you can swap between. You can buy them hats, and every hat can go on every character. Something that shouldn't be impressive, but if you're going to have customization in a game with a bunch of characters, every character should be customizable. Now back to Mario Kart World, our failure. The only way to customize the carts is your one sticker, and you can't even choose where it goes. And for the characters, costumes are character specific, and not every character gets a costume. I mean, Baby Daisy gets 4 costumes, and Donkey Kong gets 1. He stars in the second biggest game on the console, and he gets less costumes than Baby Daisy? And you could argue the costumes are a more significant change than a recolor and a hat, but is it really worth it when over half of the characters have no customization at all? And let's talk about those characters. Mario Kart World is 50 characters, that's a lot, 26 of which are the NPC characters, meaning they have no costumes and they're just standard Mario enemies. And the differences between those characters are their stats. That's it. Weight class, I guess. In fact, that's more important than the stats themselves. It's just number adjustments and a model swap. Hence why they can have so many, because they're barely different at all. Kind of defeats the point of having so many characters. Compare that to Kirby Air Riders, which has 21 characters. That's a lot less, but they're all unique. Not just stat differences, although those are there too. They all have unique super abilities. Kirby slashes his giant sword. Meta Knight ditches his ride entirely and starts flying. My boy Rick just starts booking it. And it's not just the supers that are different. They all have unique gameplay quirks. Gooey, when he does a spin attack, is lifted into the air, making it also work as a dodge. Meta Knight will slash enemies who are close with his sword. Cappy has a defensive mushroom cap that he will lose from taking too much damage. My robot wife has a propeller, allowing her to jump in the air. And not only does every character have unique gameplay, they're just full of flavor. This is a Kirby game, so you get copy abilities. And rather than have everyone just inhale them like Kirby does, or maybe just run into them and get the power, they each acquire their power in a unique way. It has no gameplay function, but it just is cool, and is just one more reason to try out different characters. In Mario Kart World, once you pick a character, there's no reason to ever switch it up. Having 50 characters does not provide any new gameplay. It's more stuff, but it's not really more content. It's not going to increase your playtime. In speed of playtime, it's finally time to talk about the most important part about Kirby Air Riders. The real meat and potatoes of the game, and that's the unlockables. What turns this party game into a meaty 100, if not hundreds of hour, full-fledged gaming experience is the achievement checklist. Achievements have already been known to make a task that seems pointless and uninteresting, like competing in a singular mini-game against CPUs, into something worth playing by adding a challenge on top of it. Like playing Target Flight with the flying star, I'm going to win every time. But then you add on the challenge of trying to get 80 or more points using the worst star in the game. Now that's interesting. Now that's content. But just having the challenge there is not enough. What makes it meaningful, something worth doing, is what you unlock for doing it. Something you want to have, a real reward that will push you out of your comfort zone. Something that may feel annoying at the time, but then you feel accomplished afterward. And the important word here is meaningful content. The things you're unlocking in this game are important. Stuff you want to have. You unlock characters, skins for those characters, customization options for your ride, new rides. Even if all you care about is the multiplayer, in order to use a ride in ranked, you have to unlock it from the checklist. And these don't always have to be intentional. Maybe you do an online match, you do really well, and now you're rewarded with a new ride to try in your next match. I can't explain to you the pure dopamine in participating in a long round of city trial, playing really well, and then you're rewarded with a ton of unlocks. The checklist system itself is genius. Not only does it sound awesome every time you unlock something, but the checklist begins blank. You don't just see every achievement in the game immediately. Once you achieve something, it reveals all of the achievements around it, meaning you can slowly chip away at the list one achievement at a time. It's not so restrictive that you're not given any options, but it also protects you from paralysis of analysis, of given so many choices that you have no meaningful way of deciding what to do next. And Sakurai knew how important this system is. It's in every aspect of the game. Every single mode has its own checklist, including online play. If you go to the stadium mode to just try out some of the mini games and you hover over one of the mini games, it'll tell you what achievement you could work toward for that mini game. So no matter what gameplay mode you play or what you value in video games, there is some challenge for you to complete to unlock something you want, whether that be customization or characters or rides. There's something for everyone. Now, how do you unlock stuff in Mario Kart World? Maybe this will give you a reason to play in that open world. Not really. You can unlock costumes by picking up fast food. Yes, that's all you have to do. No unique challenges, and you don't even have to go into the open world to do it. These appear on the races too. How about the carts? Nope, that's just collecting coins which are everywhere and thus provide no meaningful gameplay. You would have been collecting them anyway, as they cause your car to go faster in the races. What about characters? There are 50 characters, so surely there must be some cool challenges to unlock those. Well, for the main characters, it's completing the Grand Prix, which you should get something for doing those, but it's not really that unique or interesting. As for the NPC characters, originally the only way to do it was with the Kamek item, something that would randomly spawn for people near last place, and it gives the character randomly based on what track it is, only to the people in front of you. So even if you get the Kamek item, you don't get the character. You have to hope someone else gets the item and you get lucky. Now, more recently, they updated the game to make it so if you're in a UFO and you abduct a character, you then get that character. Still random, given you have to find that character, and not that interesting, given every character is unlocked the same way, but at least it's a little better. At least it's not complete RNG, but that's it. Other than stickers, they wasted this gameplay opportunity, something that could have brought meaning to the open world, and wasted it on making the game more annoying. Instead of unlocking you stickers, the open world challenges should have unlocked you characters. It still would be worse than Air Riders, because the challenges aren't that interesting and the characters provide no meaningful gameplay, but it's something. As of now, there's no reason to go into the open world at all. Maybe to ride the UFO one time to find the one character you want. I guess there is one singular other reason to go in the open world, and that's if you want mirror mode. And that's just complete all the cups, do 10 P-switch missions, collect 10 Peach medals, and open 10 question mark plates. And after that, only if this is something you really care about, are you completely done with the open world forever. No other reason to ever touch it. It's just pathetic. Our next big mistake is gameplay variety. I feel like I've already made it clear that Kirby Air Riders has a ton of variety, a ton of challenges, 4 different main modes, mini games, 18 tracks for 2 different modes, 36 in total, a giant sandbox, not to mention all of the variations of those things with unique events, along with all of the customization I talked about earlier. This game has a ton of variety. Mario Kart World has Grand Prix, which you've seen in every Mario Kart game ever, Knockout Tour, which is a slight variation on this, where the players in last place are eliminated over time until there's only one person left. This is considered one of the main modes of the game, and it's in Kirby Air Ride with no fanfare at all, because although it's slightly different, it's still the exact same gameplay. So really, the only gameplay variety is the battle mode, which is worse than every other Mario Kart battle mode, offering only 2 ways to play with no customization, either balloon battle, which you've seen a million times, or coin battle, which you just collect coins from hitting people rather than knocking them out, all of which has a 3-minute timer that you can't even adjust. This is so tacked on, by the way, that I couldn't even find an online match for it. Nobody's playing this. All that leaves is the open world, which I feel like I've made it pretty clear by now is not very good. Maybe if the challenges were more unique, you had a reason to do them, there were interesting events of some kind, but no, all you get is this. So ultimately, the only way to play the game is the same way you've played every other Mario Kart ever made, which you think would get old by now. Okay, now it's time for lightning round comparisons. Mario Kart, items are way too meaningful. Being in first place feels like it doesn't matter at all. You could be doing well, get hit by 300 items in a row, and now you're in last. It just feels bad. Air Riders improves this by hitting your enemy only only slows them down a little bit, but it speeds you up. So it's less of a downer for the opponent, but makes you feel even better. However, if your goal is to make them feel bad, the air rides have health, so you can actually work toward blowing up their ride and knocking them out completely. Though this is only for the races in City Trial or Road Trip. Next, I think Mario Kart's track design has really fallen off. Because the game is designed for 24 players, the tracks are far too wide. It ends up making them feel boring, like nothing's going on. Unless you're getting pelted with items, which does happen a lot, then it's impossible to fail. Now, it's not every track, but it's a general trend. Air Ride, it can be genuinely hard to not run into walls, making the game fun even if you're completely alone in first by a mile. So how did it end up this way? One game so good and the other so bad. Both exclusives for the same console. Well, I think by now the answer should be obvious. It's true vision and caring about what the players want. Mario Kart World does not care about what you want at all. The player choice is non-existent and it lacks any clear vision. The open world is the most important part of the game. It single-handedly ruins the online mode, and yet it's completely unimportant. You never have to interact with it. Why? Kirby Air Riders, on the other hand, has a very clear vision. It is a complete improvement of the original game with every mode connected by the single-player story mode, and is one of the most customizable games ever from appearance to gameplay. You can play however you want to play. It has complete respect for the player. Now, you may be wondering why I made this video instead of a real review of Kirby Air Riders. And it's because I really like the game, so I want to 100% it before I review it. And if you haven't figured it out yet, that's going to take a very long time. But if you want my initial thoughts, I obviously think the game is very good. I don't really like Top Ride. I didn't like it in the first game. Not a fan in this one either. I don't hate it. I just feel like I have little control over if I win or not. There's so much nonsense going on. The single player, I'm also mildly disappointed in. There's just not that much to it. It's no Subspace Emissary, that's for sure. I actually think it might have been a little bit better if the road trip mode was shorter and more like a roguelike. Right now, it's actually very long, and playing it all in one sitting does get tiring. But other than that, I really enjoy the game. Make sure to see the review, and if not that, make sure to subscribe for the Metroid Prime review, which is probably coming next. Anyway, bye.